Hi Sophie, thank you for providing me with your analysis of the financial situation of the city. You have used financial ratios to analyse the financial situation. You note that equity over total sources of finance was 26.5% for the 2013 financial year and 27% for 2014, which indicates the city's solvency position is remaining healthy and stable. The debt-to-equity ratio also remains stable at 36% despite decreased equity, because there's also been a comparable decrease in liabilities. You have also advised that the calculation of current assets to current liabilities was 1 to 1.29 for 2013 and 1 to 1.25 for 2014, which indicates a slight drop in liquidity, although the city should be able to meet its short-term debt. You have drawn my attention to the low bank balances for both years when comparing these figures with short-term liabilities, and you have noted that the city is heavily reliant on its own accounts receivable being paid on time in order to settle its own bills. Your advice is that the city needs to focus more on increasing its short-term bank balance, which will mitigate the risk of not being able to meet its short-term debts should its debt not be paid. It would have been useful, Sophie, if you had provided some examples of how this could be achieved. You note that the cost coverage ratio was 93% for 2013 and increased to 95% in 2014, which indicates ongoing issues with covering the cost of total expenses. You further note that although the operating loss was only 5% for the 2014 financial year, this loss is equal to 10% of the total equity. Again, you advise this loss of equity is particularly concerning considering operations losses are occurring year on year. The operating income is not covering the operating costs, so the city is unprofitable, and you indicate this is of concern. This is something that I agree with. As you rightly note, the city should be generating enough income to sustainably cover its expenses. You point out the city's financial success needs to be measured not in its ability to generate profit, but in its ability to sustainably provide quality services to residents while maintaining a prudent financial state. In light of the city's financial objectives being centred around sustainable supply of quality services and not on financial profit, you have advised the city is doing well overall. You note that a good level of equity considering the other financial assurance it would receive from higher levels of government. All of this I agree with. You point out that the city is bringing its operating income closer to expenses, as this increased from 93% in 2013 to 95% in 2014. The city should continue to have a focus on maintaining this trend of bringing income expense into line with each other, but not at the expense of drastic disruption to services. Again, I agree. Your discussion of financial ratios provided me with a good high-level understanding of the financial situation in the city, and I really appreciate your insights. I think you did a really good job. I would have appreciated a more detailed understanding of the consequences if the city does not address its poor financial performance. I would suggest the city is unlikely to become bankrupt, but it may get dictated to by the central government concerned about continuous losses and lack of equity, and banks will require higher interest rates or more restrictive borrowing conditions due to the high level of risk. Hence, as you say, low financial performance needs to be addressed. In addition, I would have appreciated some more ideas on how the city can improve its financial performance going forward. The financial performance ratio in the 2014 forecasted budget was 1.08, which proved to be too ambitious. I would suggest that the 2015 budget look at more significant changes to budget lines which can create revenue or reduce cost. This would hopefully get the city back into surplus, which can be used to bring down some of its debt, which has high interest costs. Measures could include freezing salaries for a period, a large expense for the city, or investigating appropriate increases in taxes and fees and tariffs, mindful that these sorts of increases can create a social and political impact, and the city needs to ensure that the socially disadvantaged are not further disadvantaged. Thank you.